So this is episode 4. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to be closing off the 3-part series of personal branding. And if you didn't get the chance to tune in, I interviewed Simon, Byron, and Titi Lope. But like I said, I'm going to interview myself today, off the cuff, reflecting on personal branding. So tune in, listen in, and see my opinion, Jason Luboyera, on Professional Pillow Talk. Thanks so much. So the first question was with Simon. That was almost about 2 months ago, where I asked him, why are you building a personal brand? And if I have to ask myself, yes, I am building a personal brand, but it wasn't intentional. I actually got the opportunity to build someone else's personal brand as a test to see if this thing was actually working back in 2016 when I got my first job at a company called Outsource CFO. I actually built Lo Barnard's personal brand and I saw the successes. I got him to, he was a chartered accountant actually, yeah, true. Chartered accountants normally don't put themselves out there, but Lo was different. He took the chance and took the bet on me to try this thing out, because personal branding at the time, LinkedIn, was very new, but it was like it is now, a great opportunity for business owners to share their value to the world, get known, build brand awareness, and ultimately build up sales. So that's my experience of first-hand being involved in personal branding. And because of what I saw, what happened with Lo, I then, alongside, build my personal brand, where I was actually starting to post. I was sharing photos of myself building different events, sharing different nuggets while at events. It built some success. So why I'm building a personal brand now is twofold. One would be, I use it as a personal diary, actually, of my experiences, both personal and professional in life, and express the nuggets that someone else has passed on to me, because I believe my audience will also enjoy them and find value. But on the other side, it's a business asset. It's got me a lot of leads, a lot of new business. It's also given me the opportunity to give away other business. So that's why I'm building a personal brand, both as a personal diary that allows me to express myself to the world and to my audience, my true fans, and as a business asset to engage and grow my business. So Simon's answer actually was, I didn't set out to build a personal brand. I found what's unique about me. And he was the film editor, and he actually had an interesting way of saying personal branding should be authentic and organic. It must come naturally. That's a great answer. And I also totally believe that. It should always be organic, it always should be authentic, because end of the day, it's you that you're presenting. Jumping off to another question where I got to speak to Byron. And Byron, very interesting man. And I'm going to pick a question here where he says, what's the biggest mistake you've seen while building a personal brand? My biggest mistake, I think, is copying another creator. I've seen someone go ahead and literally copy and paste word for word someone else's post and be caught out on it. And I think that's just not kosher. It's not what you need to be doing when building a personal brand. Yes, we live in an economy that is shared. Every idea is shared. No one really comes up with something original. But what originality to me is that you take some of your context, your ideas, your opinion, and then formulate it in something that you've probably seen online or heard on a podcast. And you create something new from the old, or at least something fresher from what's already been out there. So the biggest mistake I see when people are building their personal brand is just copying what other people do. and it's horrible. Byron said, firstly, not building a personal brand early on LinkedIn. The lesson here is to put yourself out there. You have nothing to lose. When you share your fringe interests on the platform like LinkedIn, this opens up future job opportunities. Secondly, relying on posting every day as a growth strategy. To grow on LinkedIn, you need to create content and add value to other people's posts by engaging. So yeah, his mistake actually is wildly different to mine. It's a personal one where you should have just actually started building a personal brand. That's a hot take. Running down through another few questions, and I want to choose this tech one for myself, where it says, with the introduction of new tech like generative AI and virtual reality, to name a few, what do you think the future of personal branding will look like? I'm actually a little bit worried about personal branding. I think with the introduction of AI actually almost closely mimicking what a human looks like, creates so much more ambiguity on what's real, what's not real, counterfeiting. And it actually worries me because personal brands are becoming really powerful. Like, the largest brands out there aren't logos, aren't websites. They're now the people they endorse. And if we can now create these fictitious people through generative AI, personal branding doesn't become personal branding. It actually becomes a war on who can use tech better to tell better stories to drive business. So on the one side, I'm very scared, right? Well, scared is a wrong word. I would say I'm very apprehensive and almost in this sense of, I gotta have your guard up because deep fakes could be something that you're looking at. But within that space of apprehension and, this window of ambiguity is the opportunity for us to be even more real. And I think personal branding will then take a new shape and form where things like lives, behind the scenes, in the moment type personal branding where people are almost living as you live is possibly the future. So a great example could be, let's say you've endorsed by a product and they give it to you on the day, right? Through technology, they actually see you in the moment using it, failing, not failing, enjoying and not enjoying. I think that's the new power of personal branding, because even if they endorse the person who is an influencer, but seeing the influencer fail at opening the box, not knowing how to read, all that type of thing, I think is the new way that technology and personal branding could look like. Let me give you what Byron actually had to say. Byron said, personal branding is about human connection, and AI cannot completely take over. These generative AI tools are used to enhance the way you deliver yourself and information. It also lowers the barrier to entry. It still takes work, but these tools have made it a lot easier to generate ideas and content. You have no excuse. AI is already part of a lot of the products we are using. Hot take. Hot take. I think you should ask yourself, if you're building a personal brand, what does these tools look like right now for you, and how will they possibly either warp or change or make it more difficult in growing a personal brand? Jumping to episode 3, I'm going to be jumping up and down. This is very much unscripted, but it's a great way for me to reflect on the series that we were doing in terms of personal branding. Episode 3 was with a young Nigerian lady called Titilope. She is a LinkedIn a 2-time top voice, 25 under 25, recognized around the world for something called Women Deliverer. She's a 2024 Western Union foundation fellow. She's a rock star, and she's the founder of Sisterly HQ, a social impact woman-focused agency. The question I would like to ask myself here is, what were you like as a child? I asked her that, and she said, I grew up in a home where my parents were raising only girls. This gave her great role models to be like her sisters, mom and aunties. My parents instilled in us that we are enough and we can do anything. I learned how to pull a generator and change a light bulb at a young age. They also sent us to good schools for quality education. So, reflecting myself as a child, the first word that comes to mind is grateful. I got the amazing opportunity to be born to I'd say a cross-African family, where my father is actually from Uganda, my mom is from South Africa. My dad came all the way down. I think he was working in the army, working in meteorology. Picked up my mom from her hometown and, whipped off her feet, and they went around South Africa, ended up in Pretoria. I was actually born in Mafeking, but my father, tremendously hard-working man, and I saw him work really hard because my mom was the most important job, a housewife. And I was filled in the house of women. I have 4 sisters that showed me that women are as, or even sometimes stronger than men in different aspects of life, which I think empowered me to see them as my equal and see them as partners, as allies. And I also got the opportunity to travel. My father took our family overseas to Germany. I spent a good part of my life in Germany. And as a child, that transition going from Africa, an African child, to going to Germany really built me and exposed me to, firstly, backing myself. Even though my parents took me there, I had to fend for myself. I had to find new friends. I had to explore myself and find new parts of who I am in this new environment, whether it be cold, whether it be hot. So I think generally my formative years were quite turbulent in a good way, that there was constant change around me, whether that might be my sisters leaving the house, us going overseas, that actually propelled me to actually living this out quite a bit, where I came back to South Africa to do high school, then I went overseas to do a gap year and study overseas. So my formative years, what was I like as a child? Due to my environment, there was a lot of change, and what I was like characteristic-wise is that I think I absorbed things as they came and was very adaptable. But at the same time, adapted and was quite a joyful child. I enjoyed the change. I took it on head on, and I think that's something that I'm reliving and leaning into as I go soon into my 30s, where is that change is always going to happen. Circumstances are always going to change, but it's what you do within the 4 walls of your mind that is going to dictate if you enjoy it or not. And we don't have to go any deeper than that, but it's just you have full autonomy of how you feel and how you put yourself out into the world. So a similar question that Simon I asked is, why are you building a personal brand? And Simon, of course, said he wasn't building a personal brand, but I found Byron's answer also interesting, where I asked him, here, what are some of the main reasons his clients are building personal brands? Because Byron works at a personal brand agency in the UK, and they work with the top in class founders. His answer is, there is value in personal branding. I would say so too. You can achieve many things through a set of goals. Each client is different and has their unique set of goals. LinkedIn is one of the platforms you can use to build your personal brand and anything around it. So what I remember him saying there is that clients have different reasons where they want to get on guests as podcasts, they want to get new business, they want to just, share their opinion and get feedback. There's so many different reasons, which makes sense. When it comes to personal branding, you don't have to think that because of this guru who said personal branding is going to make you business, that's the only reason why you should explore building a personal brand. And I totally believe that, because I'm building a personal brand now for the reasons of as a diary and a way to express the perspectives I'm seeing on the world, and then also using it as a business asset, it could change. I actually do think that the reason why I build a personal brand could change. But the only thing that won't change is that I'm always going to remain true to myself. And yes, you might have been a true fan today, and if you do change, I hope you gracefully go knowing that I added value to your life. And I also am not out there to please everyone. But I'm not in any way trying to distress or unplease anyone. So yeah, I think that makes sense. I went into a bit of a daze there. But that makes a lot of sense for me, and I'm actually listening to myself answer that, and because I'm on camera now, it's set, but that's the truth. That is the truth. Let's go back to Titi Lope, where why I actually want to go back is because she's just a rock star. I do highly recommend go listen to episode 3. This is a woman who's still under, I think she's 25 or 26, but she's done a lot. She speaks so well. Her confidence is infectious. Like, you feel confident around her because she's so confident. I really enjoy that conversation with her. And the question here is, what I think is quite important when thinking around a personal brand is, what tools can you use to springboard your personal brand? And I'm going to speak out of experience, but at the same time, I'm going to speak that I see what's working out there. So from experience, I think when building your personal brand, you need to have some type of tool to reflect, right? Because it's too easy to go out and find an article and then write your opinion about it. But if you're not in a space of reflection around topics of interest, around your personal experience, I think building a personal brand becomes hard, because you then don't have real, true, opinionated value for the world. But even if it's not opinionated value, sometimes, let's say you're a business owner and you have this methodology that works. The only way to know if something works is, firstly, measure, so that you can then realize something is working because you set a goal. You can't improve anything that is not measured. So reflection, measuring in the same sense, but you've got to take stock, so that when you take stock, you then have the ability to create contextually. So one tool, I think, is just some form of measuring within your industry, within your business, within your life, so that you can then reflect on it and create cool content. And being really practical, for me, I used to write down a lot of things. Then I became voice noting, like I voice note myself, or like I read and then I sort of write random words that in a podcast that I enjoyed. Because when you want to generate ideas, sometimes looking at these notes help you say, wow, that's what I was thinking. Let's weigh this up against my original thought, as well as my new learned thought through whatever medium. Now you can create, right? And you can build a personal brand. Other things you can use is to springboard your personal brand is other people. So I actually, when I first started believing that I'm building a personal brand, I went out onto LinkedIn and I found another lady who was building out a personal brand, and I said, let's partner and do videos and let's do shared content, because what helps is that her audience sees me in her content and my audience sees her in my content, and that actually helps cross-pollinate, sort of springboard your personal brand. The last thing I would say is learn. Like, whether it buy courses, watch free courses, don't take personal branding as something that comes naturally. No. It's something that you need to apply yourself. You need to actually commit to learning what's working, what's not working. And I would say one guy is Justin Welsh, really cool. Another guy is Stephen Bartlett, Titi Lope. These individuals are really doing well. And actually, this is not an ad, but I'm building out a community where people can join online, and I'm building courses. You're going to have actually a space where you can ask any question around personal branding. So if you do feel like you want to take a look at this community, anybody who reaches out to me via LinkedIn and says, hey, I listened to your podcast and I would like access, I'll give you 1 month free, and I'll also give you a special discount depending on how our conversation goes. So I'm going to ask myself one more question, right? So this one, I'm actually going to go back to the start. Let's go back to Simon. Simon was shared so freely. He's a super creative. And the last one I want to do is, I asked Simon, what are your KPIs for success? So Simon said, yeah, the ultimate indicator is the number of inquiries we get for the service or product we offer. This indicates that we are able to generate revenue. Other indicators can be comments, impressions, and connections. So the question is, what are my KPIs for success? I would agree with Simon. For the business side of my personal brand is inquiries. I would love people to inbox me and say, hey, it sounds interesting what you do. How can you help me? But another KPI for success is actually something that's not that easy to measure, but is actually my confidence, right? My confidence to take an idea that is in my mind and express it with the right language, the right confidence to the people who care. And maybe that's how to measure that is maybe my writing gets better. Yeah, maybe more people like and share my content. But a real indicator is when I wake up in the morning, having listened to a podcast or having read a book, because of what my personal brand does for me in terms of feeding my mind and flexing my brain muscles. Personally, a good indicator for me is that I just feel intellectually stronger, and I have ability to disseminate information and transfer it into insight for anybody who cares. But the first person who cares is myself. All right, that was the first reflection section. That was the first reflection session. I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Every time after a series of podcasts in terms of the same subject, I'm going to be doing this, and it's going to be unscripted and just a reflection on the podcast guests that I get the privilege to listen to, because I'm curious, and I hope you are too. Please do like, share, and comment on the podcast. It just helps it grow. It helps me understand and gives me good feedback on what's working and what's not working. But for now, that was episode 4 of Professional Pillow Talk. Thanks so much for tuning in. Much love. Peace.